Your pain doesn't define you, your perspective does. She hurt you. She said things you didn't expect. She pulled back when you thought things were solid. She acted like you didn't matter. And in that moment, it felt personal. It felt sharp. It felt like you lost something. But that's the illusion. Because what happened wasn't the pain, it was your reaction to it. That's what Stoicism teaches. Man is disturbed not by things, but by the views he takes of them. Epictetus. It wasn't her silence that destroyed your peace. It was the meaning you attached to it. You told yourself it meant you weren't enough. You told yourself it meant you failed. You told yourself you had to fix it to be whole again. But here's what the Stoics knew, what the strongest men have always known. You can't control what she does. You can't control if she walks away, but you can control how you see it. And that changes everything. The moment you decide that her rejection doesn't reduce you, the moment you see her distance not as failure, but as freedom, that's the moment you start to win again. Because when you shift your perspective, you shift the power. You stop asking, why did she do this? And start asking, what am I supposed to learn from this? You stop thinking, how do I get her back? And start thinking, what kind of man do I become now? When she hurt you, it felt like the world was caving in. But in reality, the world was just showing you something. It was showing you yourself, the raw version, the version that needed to evolve. You can keep telling yourself this is the end, or you can realize this is your beginning. Your heartbreak isn't a curse. It's a challenge, a mirror, a fire that forges the next version of you. The one who doesn't beg for attention. The one who doesn't crumble under silence. The one who doesn't mistake rejection for unworthiness. That man, he's not defined by what happened to him. He's defined by how he responded to it. And that man, he's dangerous because he can no longer be controlled by approval. Because he no longer fears being alone. Because he no longer needs anything but his own perspective to feel whole. So next time the text doesn't come, the apology never arrives, the distance feels deafening, pause. And remember, the pain isn't an event. The pain is in the story you're telling yourself about it. Change the story. Change the outcome. You are not your circumstances. You are your response. And that is where your power begins. The obstacle is the way. You didn't ask for the pain. You didn't want her to leave. You didn't expect her silence. You didn't plan on being betrayed, ignored, tested, or discarded. But it happened. And now you're here, staring at your phone, fighting that urge to reach out, replaying memories like a broken loop, wondering what went wrong, wondering if you'll ever feel in control again. But here's the truth no one wants to hear. This moment, this pain, is exactly what you need. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius. That hurt? It's not the enemy. That silence? It's not a punishment. That rejection? It's not the end of your story. It's the beginning. Because now you're no longer safe. Now you're no longer numb. Now you have to evolve. That's why Stoics didn't run from pain, they welcomed it. They didn't ask, why me? They asked, how can I use this? You say she ghosted you? Good. Now you learn to value your own presence more. You say she lied to you? Good. Now you build a filter for truth, a boundary for your time. You say she left without closure? Good. Now you become the man who doesn't need it, because this isn't about her. It was never about her. It's about what you do now. You can scroll her stories. You can overanalyze her texts. You can wait for that breadcrumb of hope. Or you can realize this is a forge, the place where weak men break and strong men rise. She was a test. And your reaction? That's your training. You want to know what Stoicism looks like in real time? It looks like not responding. It looks like building in silence. It looks like using her absence as fuel, not a crutch. The world will throw pain at you. That's guaranteed. The only question is, will you let it define you or refine you? Because men don't grow when things go their way. They grow when the pressure hits, when the silence stretches, when the ego gets bruised and the heart gets ripped open. That's where character is born. So don't run from it. Stand in it. Own it. Make the pain proud. because she might have caused a wound, but you decide what it turns into: a scar that makes you bitter, or a badge that makes you bulletproof. The obstacle is the way, always has been, and right now, you're standing at the gate of your transformation. Discipline is freedom. She expected a reaction. She expected the late-night message, the emotional rant, the long paragraph about how much she meant to you. She expected you to break, but you didn't. You went quiet. You didn't beg. You didn't try to fix what she broke. And in that moment, you became something rare. You became disciplined. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. You see, most men live like prisoners, not in a cell, in their own heads. They're slaves to their emotions, to impulse. One text, one picture, one wave of nostalgia, and they fold. But the Stoic man, he doesn't serve emotion. He commands it. Discipline doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you don't let it control you. She posts a picture with another guy, you don't react. She unfollows you, you don't chase. She texts a breadcrumb of, "Hope you're well," you don't bite, because discipline gives you space. Space between impulse and action. And in that space, freedom. Freedom from games. Freedom from validation. Freedom from being the man who always reacts. She might think you're cold, distant, detached, but that's only because you've stopped being predictable. You've stopped feeding her ego. You've stopped dancing to her tune. You've stopped being a guy who crumbles just because she blinked in your direction. That's the power of discipline. While other men are checking their phones, you're checking your habits. While they're breaking down over what she said, you're building yourself up by what you do. While they're chasing dopamine, you're chasing dominion over yourself. She thought she could control the narrative, but now you're writing your own. And every day you don't fold, every day you don't break, every day you remain unmoved, you're becoming someone she didn't expect. A man who doesn't need permission to be powerful. A man who doesn't flinch at silence. A man who doesn't need her because he's got himself. Discipline isn't punishment. It's protection from your worst urges, from her mixed signals, from your own self-sabotage. And when you master it, you master the game. Because nothing rattles a woman more than a man she cannot sway. Nothing terrifies her more than a man who's calm in the chaos. Nothing is more attractive or more dangerous than the man who doesn't need to react. You don't win by overpowering her. You win by overriding yourself. Discipline is the gate. Discipline is the sword. Discipline is freedom. And now you're holding it. Your silence breaks her control. She was counting on noise. She thought you'd protest, that you'd ask what went wrong, that you'd try to win her back, explain yourself, plead your value. But you didn't. You disappeared. You didn't fight for her attention. You didn't chase after her breadcrumbs. You didn't try to convince her. She made a mistake. You did the one thing she didn't prepare for. You went silent. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Epictetus. But more than that, Stoics understood that silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Because silence is terrifying. People don't know what to do with it. They fill it with noise, with distraction, with someone new. Because silence doesn't give answers, it creates questions. And questions are where control starts to crumble. When you went silent, you took back the frame. She expected to be chased. She expected her absence to provoke action. She expected to feel powerful by withdrawing. Instead, she's checking her phone more than you are. She's rereading your last message. She's stalking your stories without liking a single one. She's wondering if you're hurt or if you simply stopped caring. That's the doubt. That's the shift. And doubt, that's what rewires everything. Because now she's not sure if you were really that invested. She's not sure if you're waiting. She's not sure if she miscalculated the grip she had on you. And that lack of certainty, that's what breaks her illusion of control. While she's posting stories hoping you'll watch, you're living. While she's liking old pictures to test the waters, you're building. While she's wondering what she lost, you've already started to become the man she'll never get again. Silence isn't empty. Silence is space, and space is where you grow when she doubts. Most men panic. They hear nothing for a week and explode with, "Hey, just checking in." They lose frame. They fold. They fall right back into her pattern. But you remain calm, controlled, stoic, because you understand the truth. The person who speaks less has the power. The one who waits wins. The man who says nothing makes her question everything. If she wants you, she'll show it. She'll stop hinting and start proving. She'll stop testing and start chasing. But until then, silence. Not as a game, not as revenge, but as discipline. Because you're no longer available for manipulation, no longer participating in her drama, no longer emotionally owned by someone who didn't value you. Your silence is not absence, it's presence. Unshakable, mysterious, stoic, and now she has to deal with herself. She will start to doubt herself. When silence fills a space where noise once ruled, her mind starts its own war. She begins to question everything, not just you, but herself. Did I push too hard? Was I wrong to pull away? Is he really over me? Did I lose something I didn't even realize I had? The mask she wore so confidently cracks. Her certainty shatters. Because when you stop reacting, when you refuse to fill her silence with your own noise, it forces her to confront the uncomfortable truth. She's not in control anymore. No amount of games, no amount of teasing can fix the doubt eating away at her confidence. That confidence, that armor she used to shield herself, now weighs heavy and fragile. She's stuck in her own mind, wrestling with scenarios she can't control or predict. And that's the moment she starts to lose grip on her own power. Because power depends on certainty. Control depends on predictability. When you stop feeding the fire, the flames flicker. When you stay calm, steady, and silent, you become the unpredictable force she can't manipulate. You become the man who walks away from drama, not the one who chases it. And this doubt? It's a silent weapon sharper than any words you could say. It forces her to reflect, to question her choices, and maybe, just maybe, to realize what she's lost. But this isn't about making her come back. It's about reclaiming your peace, your worth, your freedom. You don't need her validation. You don't need her approval. Your silence is your strength. Your stillness is your victory. Because in the end, the one who doubts the most is the one who loses the most. And right now, she's the one doubting the I in the silence. You reclaim your power. You become unshakable, steady, and free, no longer caught in the endless cycle of chasing what's not meant for you. Remember, true strength isn't loud. It's calm. It's patient. It's the quiet force that moves mountains without making a sound. If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to Every Day Stoicism for daily wisdom that sharpens your mind and fuels your growth. Like, share, and comment below to build a community of men who refuse to settle for less than they deserve. Stay disciplined. Stay silent when it counts. And always remember, the greatest victory is to conquer yourself. See you in the next lesson. Keep rising.